My expectations as a new founder were that things were going to be a lot easier.
I thought we were going to come up with this great business and we were just going to be like kings of CBD in Kansas City and make all this money and then sell it.
Did I expect a business, like starting a business, to be easier? Hell yeah, I did.
With GigaBook, we thought that we would be done building our minimally viable product in 6 months. I look back at that and laugh now because it took 2.5 years to generate $1 in revenue.
The amount of work that goes into building something from the ground up, it's like putting a 1,000-piece puzzle together, but you only got a couple pieces to start, right? You almost have to go out and find these different pieces everywhere. They're not all sitting on the same table.
So you'll experience excitement, pride, joy, fear, loneliness, discouragement, frustration, doubts, imposter syndrome. You're gonna run into haters, skepticism. You'll have a lot of extreme ups and downs. Founder's depression, it's real. All the emotions in the roller coaster and the up and down, everything you go through, it's taxing.
So what makes a good entrepreneur? That's a great question. And I think it's a question that this show is actually trying to answer for people and show people. And if I had to sum it up into like one thought, I would say that an entrepreneur has to have a very good risk versus reward part of their brain operating very well. Like they're very skilled at looking at a risk and evaluating the reward compared to the risk. And if you're good at that, you will make tons of money. And if you're bad at it, you will lose tons of money.
It's kind of a moving target, but you need to be driven. You need to be able to set goals. You need to be able to follow up on those goals.
Hustle, commitment, perseverance, dedicated, resilient, agile.
The ability to accept failure and move on, because you are going to fail and you're going to fail a lot.
Tenacity, having emotional intelligence, passion, empathy, compassion.
Failing is success. Every time you fail, you're that much closer. And entrepreneurs, especially good ones, understand that.
Humility and confidence, integrity, honesty, strength, being curious, innovative.
I think it's somebody who is consistent.
They're often overachievers. They aim to be exceptional. You know, good enough stopped being good enough a long time ago. So good enough is average. You need to aim to want to be a little better than that. If average is your goal, make some new goals.
You got to kind of have a little daring in you because you're stepping out into the unknown. And if you're not willing to do that boldly, you'll just stand on the edge of the cliff looking over the edge.
They got to be willing to try something and take a risk.
A successful entrepreneur is not afraid to take a chance.
You're never going to be an expert at everything, and you got to know what you're good at and what you're not good at.
When it comes to business accelerators, it's a competitive process to get into them. It's just like getting a job. There's a finite number of seats and a whole lot of people trying to get themselves in those seats.
Startup Accelerator is a program for established businesses to help them scale. Sometimes they're given money from people in the accelerator, but the idea is to take the business you have and grow it.
A Startup Accelerator is an organization that exists for the purpose of getting businesses moving in a forward direction.
A startup accelerator
Helps entrepreneurs either ideate, develop, or scale their business.
We applied to Beta Blocks Incubator, which is local here in Kansas City. We were accepted and went through that program in 2019. Did exactly what an accelerator, you would hope an accelerator would do, and it really propelled our business forward. We went from white labeling other people's products to manufacturing our own products. Startups can be very expensive, and having someone that can help you either with that cash portion or being able to get you the resources you need without spending crazy amounts of money to get them.
This week we're going to finish up the application for the Techstars Music Accelerator, normally based in LA, but because of COVID and all that is virtual this year, and big opportunity. I always get excited. It's kind of like applying for a job. I think I'm qualified.
we have an interesting story to tell. We've got an interesting product, and we've been to a lot of town halls. They're awesome. This team would be a dream to work with, not just because of what they can provide in terms of like mentorship and strategic thought, but they're tied specifically to the music industry, which is a place where I thought mixtape could always live. You know, there's so many opportunities to meet platforms, people who work for large platforms. The big dogs in the music industry have a pretty active part in the accelerators, so got to put a video together, an introduction to myself and a little demo of Mixtape the app, and we'll shoot it off and hope for the best. So gotta get back to that. So I finished my application for Techstars and probably sat in front of the computer for like an hour, afraid to hit send. Not for any real reason. I had proofread the thing like 50 times and checked all the links. Everything was good. I was just afraid for no real reason. So I just called a mentor and said, hey, I've been sitting here, what do I do with this thing? And he's like, is it right? Yeah. Is there anything else you can say? No. Then send the damn thing.
Hey Techstars, I'm Joel Johnson. I'm from Kansas City and I'm the creator of Mixtape the Game. Combining music and gaming is hard. If you're involved with tech or music, you already know this. In 2015, I created Mixtape. It first started as a card game. That went well, so well that we have sold over 100,000 decks in 9 countries. The problem is cards don't play music. Realizing the potential for growth within the digital gaming industry, I wanted to make Mixtape digital. In order to do that, I needed help. I found that with my investors and partners who helped me build and launch Mixtape the app, which is currently available for iPhone and Android users. The app allows Spotify and Apple Music subscribers to share a mobile gaming experience with family, friends, or other players around the world. I think my past experience with design, digital strategy, and the discipline I acquired serving as a sergeant in U.S. Army make myself and Mixtape a perfect fit for the Techstars Music Accelerator. Thank you.
I was able to make a little bit of leeway yesterday trying to figure out why we haven't got paid for our job that we're doing yet, and it turns out that the money has to come in a certain order from the different sources, and so I have to make sure that I have documentation that the owner has given us a little money, and then this other loan has given us a little money, and then there's another loan, and then there's the real bank loan. So I was on the phone with like 4 different people, and nobody really knows. They're all trying to help me out, of course, but I think I got it figured out, so we will see in the next few days if we can get a little bit of money coming into our business account so I don't have to, you know, take out a loan on my house to keep building.
I sell a lot of stuff on Amazon. For myself, Landlocked, as well as, you know, we have about 50 brands that are working with Marknology on a monthly basis. So we're selling thousands of SKUs, managing millions of advertising dollars, and selling a lot of stuff on Amazon.
I haven't met Andrew yet, but I've heard that he is a badass in the Amazon and e-commerce world.
We would absolutely be open and willing and ready to work with Andrew on e-commerce and Amazon stuff in general.
Kyle, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I'm Heather.
Andrew.
I can't stand, I'm sorry.
okay.
I've got a
This is
jacked
Beth.
up. Hi, nice to meet you.
I want to know a little bit more about you guys. Like, honestly, as entrepreneurs, like, because if I do start working with them, I'm literally trying to think like you guys in regards to like how the business would work, or like how Amazon would work, or whatever.
Yep.
So the more I know, the better. Amazon is based around an algorithm. It's similar to the Google algorithm, search for search. Amazon is a system not like eBay. It's built for buyers, the customers. It's not built for the sellers. And that's why Marknology has had so much success, is essentially helping sellers because of the difficulty there. But when you understand that Amazon cares about the customer, as a seller, if you make the customer experience fantastic, then Amazon is going to reward that. FBA is an abbreviation for Fulfillment by Amazon.
FBA? I do not know what FBA stands for.
FBA, is that football in America? Is that
Flowery boys allowed.
And what that means is I have 50 bottles of seasoning that I'm going to sell on Amazon. I send them to Amazon's warehouse for pennies, really, because it's such discounted shipping by Amazon. Fulfillment by Amazon is the process of once those items are in that warehouse, Amazon will pick them, pack them, and ship them to customers. The customer might know of it as Prime, but if you're not doing FBA, you can't really sell in Prime. In general, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. It's changed the game of e-commerce and ultimately is the driving force behind customers trusting Amazon.
I was able to get to the bottom of the bank situation, why they haven't paid us yet. I called the bank and I spent about 2 hours on the phone with them to try and figure it out. Why can't we get paid? Why haven't we got a bank draw? And it turns out that some of the paperwork was wrong. It was auto-generated, and that was the reason. That was what was causing the problem. That's a new one for me, but luckily we got it figured out and we can start getting paid now, which we need to do.
Servant leadership is a philosophy where the goal of the leader is to serve the community. It's often a thankless task. Without servant leaders and the organizations that they serve, we'd probably live in a much different world. When I think about servant leadership, I think about Lauren Conway. I think about the organization that she's built with InnovateHer, the cause that she's so passionate about, and all of the stuff that she goes through to do what she does every single day.
So sometimes I get a little self-conscious about this whole startup hustle thing because we're not, at InnovateHer KC, we're not really selling a product per se. Like, I'm not going to go out there and try to fill my sales pipeline. I'm not going to put a price on many of the things that we do. What we're really selling is community. And the thing about community is one of the most impactful things that you can do in your day-to-day is show up, build trust, be there for the people that are out there making it work. You know, often women in positions of power and leadership, they have difficulty finding support, finding resources, finding mentors. You know, if you belong to an industry that is predominantly male, it's sometimes difficult to find female mentors who understand your journey. We are able to help women connect with each other, strengthen each other, amplify each other's efforts, and work together for our collective success. You know, at 51% of the population, women are everywhere and they require a lot of support. You see a lot of inequity, you see a lot of difficulty that we experience as leaders in our communities. I feel like InnovateHer KC offers a lot of value to women leaders in the Kansas City community and beyond. Every day we deal with inequities and we deal with difficult situations, and InnovateHer KC helps these women to overcome by offering support and resources and an incredible community of inspiring women to follow.
How much do you invest in yourself? Your education, your personal brand, your knowledge set, your skills. That's something that's been a hot topic over the years and something that you really shouldn't ignore.
I just had Ali Awad, the CEO lawyer, on the podcast. He gave me a swift kick in the ass. He said that our show is probably the best podcast he's ever been on. He loved the energy of our show, and it's not like we've never heard that before. We've heard that quite a bit, actually. But what he said was, the only reason you're not famous is because you're not spending enough money. You're not spending enough money on advertising yourself. And he's right. I mean, I can usually have something to say and come back to. I have something witty all the time. I have a conversation piece that I can go to. But when he basically said that to me, I was speechless. We spend very little to like no money in promoting our show. Everything we've done, we've grown organically. And it's pretty good. James and I had a conversation after that. You better believe we're going to start allocating probably quite a ton of money going into our marketing campaign. We'll see what 2021 is going to bring. Who knows where we'll be. But I do know this. More people are going to know who the business bros are.
So our bank situation is still bad. In bad, I mean we're in the hole a couple $1,000s in our checking account for our business. And so I called them again, and it turns out some of the paperwork that I already sent them, they lost it. And so I had to refill out this paperwork. Some of it the homeowner had to sign, so I had to call them on the weekend, and I sent it all back in. And hopefully in the next couple days we'll get paid, or I really seriously 100% am gonna have to do a home equity line into our business account just on account of the bank not having it together quick enough to pay us. And we're probably at least owed $100,000 at this point by the bank on this project and haven't gotten anything. So yeah, the struggle is real. I mean, we've been doing this for decades. We've got a huge waiting list of people, and yet sometimes our bank account hits negative numbers still. It's crazy.
So I am in Kansas City, Kansas today and waiting for Andrew Morgans to come visit with me. He is interested in moving Marknology into our new building. So we're going to sit down and have some real talk about that. All right, so Andrew just arrived. Should we let this guy in? Hi.
What's up?
Welcome.
Excited to be back. Talking about moving into the building with DeCourcy and what that looks like, and one of the issues is we don't have a warehouse for our fulfillment services that Marknology does. So today I'm looking at a building off Southwest.
All right, so another day, another challenge as an entrepreneur. We are trying to get set up in our office in Kansas City, Kansas, and I'll tell you what, if it's not one thing, it's another. Today, here we are. We moved our stuff in almost 2 months ago, and we are still struggling to get internet hooked up. We've talked to different service providers, and either they just offer shitty bandwidth, or they want some pretty significant construction costs to wire up the building. I don't know how we're going to handle that yet, but the idea of paying $60,000 to run an internet cable to a building is not great. Stay tuned. We'll see how we figure it out.
It's Christmas Day. We actually got a little bit of Christmas snow, which is rare in this area, but it's nice and cold. An update on our financial situation is that we finally got paid Christmas Eve. The money came into the bank, and I had given the guys checks with no money in the account, hoping that it would come in, and it did. So that's great news. You may be wondering why anyone would torture themselves like this, like owning your own business, not being sure when you're going to get paid, having to fork out tons of your own money to keep a job going. And I would rather do that, though, than work for someone else and not have the freedom that I have to do whatever I want to do, when I want to do it, if I have the money to do it. That's the real payoff, is that I get the freedom to be my own boss, and for me, that's worth it.
So I've been working on this big new project for Stackify. We're launching a new product, supposed to launch it here real soon in a few weeks. We've been working on it for a year, and had the company meeting today, told everybody about how excited we are to launch it and all that stuff. What I didn't tell them is the day before it wasn't working at all, and it was totally screwed up. And we have a lot of shit to figure out still. But joys of being a software developer and an entrepreneur is we got to figure this stuff out still and push ahead.
Productive day? I don't know. I spent quite a bit of time troubleshooting today. I have a landing page that I had set up for a lender that came aboard, and I couldn't get the landing page to submit and then send an email out, and I was stuck. I spent like an hour and a half trying to figure that out. Turned out to be some stupid small little change that I had to make, and I got it to work finally, but still, that was all that time wasted.
Checking out the weather out here, and it's still ice raining, which is bad for tomorrow because we're building way up on a mountain. It may be, frozen all over our walkboards. So we're going to potentially lose 2 days. We've already lost 1 day of production, which means 1 day of no income because there was no production on our project. If you have inside work, you can work in the rain, but right now we're only on outside. We're framing. So pretty much a total loss today as far as production, as far as income for us and our crew. And that's part of this job. You have to save money for a rainy day. You ever heard that? Well, it's true. That's a lot of snow right there. don't know if I can even shovel it. It's like a foot deep. Wow. Well, I know this side will be dry though in a couple hours. Break loose, come on. Wow. I need a snowboard. Oh my gosh.
A lot of snow.
That is a lot of snow. I might need like a sheet of plywood or something to bulldozer it. The shovel is not gonna work. I can't even stand, even with a harness and rope on this surface. It's just ice, literally. So we're gonna make like a long shovel with a 2x4 and a scrap of 2x4 that I can just shove all this off here with. Sometimes I have to do things at work that make me think I might die, but yet somehow that makes me feel very alive at the end of the day, or at least very thankful to be alive at the end of the day.
No losses, I don't do lipo. A few screws loose in the head, I'm a psycho. Promise you the bar, just as real as the bite though. Misunderstood, you could call me a typo. I shine hotter than